Hey guys, all right, so we finished up on a bit more traction on the car. The car's handling great now, much more comfortable to drive. We do daily a lot of these development cars to get a bit more sort of driver experience and feedback on developing parts and how the car drives. That does make a big difference. The HKS shocks were very comfortable. Now being able to put down the power is a great benefit too. As you guys may remember from the previous video, we tapped out the fuel system at 230 kilowatt. So we have a Deutschwerks 340 pump installed, but we have factory injectors and we're still running the factory fuel reg at the moment. So we've picked up some injectors. We've reached out to one of our dealers, EFI Solutions. The guys there do a plug and play kit for the RB25, so you don't have to change the fuel rail. They do actually sell a loom adapter, so you can plug it directly into the loom, but we thought due to the age of the car, we will put some new pins and a plug on it. So they're the nice, easy to use ones. So the guys over at Birrong Automotive will sort that out for us, which is much appreciated. So I'm not sure if you guys have had much to do with injectors or changing injectors, but one of the nice things is this quick release sprung clip, which is really nice to use. The factory Nissans are an absolute nightmare. You normally have to use a little pick to get the little spring off it. So this car, we're developing it for pump fuel. So we've gone with 1000cc Bosch injectors from EFI. They say that on E85 you'll get normally 100 horsepower per 1000cc injectors. So 6 times 1000, 600 horsepower at the motor. They said about 500 horsepower at the wheels or on the hubs on E85. So we may do some E85 or flex fuel testing later on with those. But for now, the car will stay on 98 octane or pump fuel. Now, these come with the little O-ring adapters for the factory fuel rail and factory intake manifold. So that's another part provided by the guys over at EFI Solutions. With the injectors, we're hoping with a bit more boost, we might pick up an extra 30 kilowatts, so stay tuned to that. We'll see how that goes. The next part to making some power with an RB25 reliably and safely is upgrading your camshafts. So we've spoken to the guys at PRP and they've supplied us some Kelford cams, some 264 cams, and we've also opted for some upgraded valve springs. Now, some of you may be aware that when you increase the boost pressure and also rev range, there's two things that can occur, which is one, valve bounce, where the time to open and close the valve is so quick that it actually doesn't seal, and valve float, where the valve is actually floating because of either the inlet air pressure is combating the spring pressure, so pushing the valve open, or your exhaust pressure is higher, thus pushing open your exhaust valves. So both can occur depending on what the factory springs are rated at. So it's good to upgrade both, especially since our target is 500 horsepower on pump fuel on the hub dyno. Nice new springs. I've got no idea if they're all the same from the inlet to the exhaust, but the guys at Birrong can sort that out for us. This box is actually quite substantial. There we go. Yeah, we'll crack that box open and have a look at them. Not that we know what we're looking at because it's a camshaft and it's got some lobes on it. All right, so this is a injector kit from the guys at EFI Solutions. They supply this with the machined adapter, which allows you to fit it into the factory fuel rail and intake manifold. I think it's got a larger O-ring or something like that. I think it's called an EV14, this plug style. And there's the new plug on it. And then when you're doing this, it is a good idea to put new pins on it because the factory wires are normally quite corroded around the plastic and the wire. So we are going to do that. You can run adapters, which makes life a bit easier if you can't do that. But in our case, we're going to have the guys at Birrong sort that out for us. Here we've got the Nissan RB25 Neo valve spring kit. Again, this is to stop a valve float or valve bounce from occurring. They appear to be the same size diameter for both the intake and exhaust. I'm not an expert on that, but obviously, so what happens is you've got a higher spring pressure than factory. So we're going to put those in. They are a bit of a pain to install whilst the head is on the car, but obviously there's a benefit to that if your workshop is able to do that due to time spent on removing the head and all the associated things that go along with that. So we've picked up some camshafts as we are trying to make more power. I'm trying to work out how this opens. All right, so with camshafts, there's called a cam profile or cam card, camshaft specifications. I'll let you zoom in on that one just so you can see what these are. But as you can see, 264 advertised duration on the inlet and exhaust. And we've got 8.95 of lift on the intake and 8.90 on the exhaust side. I'm going to open these up just so you can see how everything's packaged from Kelford, as so far it's been very nice. I'm not going to pretend to install these or anything myself. We've just opened up one of the ends. This is the cam gear side. That's the locating dowel to give drive to the cam. So here we've got the lobe, the camshaft lobe. The height of this point of the lobe minus the diameter of the base circle effectively gives you the valve lift. From where the lift occurs to where it finishes is the duration. So we're going to put these in the car and see what effect they have on the power curve. Hopefully we're not going to lose much or any before 3,500 RPM. But again, this is why we test everything back to back and see the results firsthand. We're trying to put together the ultimate 500 horsepower pump fuel RB25. Fingers crossed these help us get to that goal. Hey guys, here we are at Birrong Automotive. I just want to quickly highlight, this is the, here's the injector loom. So that's the factory one. This is a push down clip, which is a bit different to the RB26, which has the square clip, which is painful. So these all get pretty old and crack, and that's the new clip for the Bosch injector. Here's the new injector. We're going to pull this rail off and use the adapters that were supplied by EFI Hardware and get those installed. So what that entails is to keep the length as long as possible in the loom, we'll probably crack this off completely to remove and get the pins out. And we'll put new plugs, new pins on the end here and seal those up with the seals. So she should be good for a bit more running with the factory loom. So let's get stuck back into it and try and get this thing finished and back on the dyno. All right. There we go. Injector's out, and we do have a lot of dirt and grime around the injector bosses, so we might try and tidy that up at the same time.
It's a good seal.
Oh, yeah, thousands. Alright guys, so we've got the injectors in there. They're using the OEM injector retainers clips. Now what we're trying to do is put the injector into the hole without taking the dirt. We didn't put it on camera, but we actually vacuumed out all the holes to stop any debris entering the combustion chambers. So hopefully we did a decent job of that. And then we meant to just wiggle these injectors. I can feel them popping into place now. There we go. All right, so that's flush. Then your injector should always wiggle a little bit. There we go. So that means that the injector doesn't seal with pressure pressing into it. This one here is really tight for some reason, which I'm going to find out why. Oh, it's moving. All right. Yeah, the O-rings do all the sealing, so we're ready to put those bolts back in place now. All right, we'll get stuck back into it and tune in a bit later. Oh, awesome, awesome, thanks very much. Very neat. Unfortunately, it takes ages to put back together. Number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, guys. So Alex has finished up tuning. He's done a phenomenal job as usual. So picked up right on 40 kilowatts just by adding boost and with his wonderful tuning skills. Thanks very much for the guys for putting those injectors in, aka myself.
I want to thank me for believing in me. I want to thank me for doing all this hard work.
But I did use all the equipment and their knowledge, so that was handy. Yeah, the car's going very well. I'm going to show you some of the graphs we got happening here. The peak power was exactly the same RPM as previously. So we went from 229 to 268.4. Boost wise, our previous peak boost was 17.2 psi. At the same point in the RPM, we're at 19.2, and down early in the rev range, we are at 19.7 versus 13.2 previously. As for torque, right down before, we're at 340, then it crept up. So 450 versus 350, that's derived Newton meters. That's just how with the hub dyno reads, and then that carries all the way through. So it's a massive gain all the way through the rev range. Really happy with progress. Time to get those Kelford 264 cams and valve springs installed, as we can see at the back end of the rev range, the boost is not being able to be maintained as it does have a soft wastegate actuator. So boost is dropping off. It is being controlled just with an older generation Turbo Smart Boost T. So we will change out the actuator. We'll probably switch to like a 15 PSI base pressure, which should allow us to have a nice solid 20 PSI all the way through to, I think, about 7,500 our rev limit. So guys, tune in next time and we'll see if we can hit the 300 kilowatt mark.